one. I think it's a really good price right now, not financial advice. Anyways, welcome again to my co-host over this side, TSG. Don't forget to go subscribe to his channel. Link is in the description. And with us today, we have Dylan Shub, which is the founder of FatCats, I believe. Do you want to tell us a little bit about FatCats, why you created it, and kind of like where all that came from?
Dylan, sorry, man. I'm just going to cut you off real quick. I apologize. I also want to mention for everyone watching that this episode of Augment is sponsored by Illuvium. So Illuvium just kind of knocked out their land sale recently. We got 72 million in revenue. And it's been an amazing experience. The No Gas Wars Dutch auction was amazing. If you guys want to get on top of the land, you can still get that on Immutable X Marketplace or the Illuvidex. Illuvidex is slightly cheaper with less fees, so check that out. And the next thing we're gearing up for is now Illuvitas. So stay connected with us, and we'll keep you updated on all of those things. Dylan, I apologize. I'll let you go answer that question. Tell us about Illuvitas. Tell us about Illuvitas. Tell us about FatCats, man.
Yeah. So I came from the world of private banking, and after that, I worked in fine art for a number of years. And while I was working in fine art, I was able to kind of moonlight in metaverse platforms like Second Life and hang out over there. And so when I started hearing about kind of people buying into, selling for 60 million and people buying into Decentraland, I came running over there. And I explored that. I started first in the play to earn gaming space. I founded Crown Capital, which is pretty much a kind of hedge fund structure as a collectors club for blockbuster games. And I started looking over at the other side, kind of at NFT, what we call kind of NFT collectibles or art, and saw kind of real brand power over here, right? Like we could have native Web3 brands that could rival Disney, Coca-Cola, Nike, and stuff like that. And so I pulled my friends together and said, let's explore creating the same structure that we've got for Crown Capital, right? Like this kind of hedge fund structured as a collectors club and a business club and a think tank and stuff like that, and go after these blue chips. And I think, the hardest part of it was everyone's kind of aiming for novelty in the space right now, whereas we wanted to kind of focus on excellence, transparency, and professionalism. And so I kind of brought what I would say is the best of Web 2 to a new and exciting frontier that is Web 3.
Yep. I wanted to just ask real quick. You talking about like those like massive brands doing NFTs. I don't know if you heard about this or saw this, but Nickelodeon just announced that they're starting their NFT. They're diving into the NFT world. Did you see that?
Yeah, and we have not confirmed it's Nickelodeon yet.
Oh,
it's not confirmed. So please be careful, everyone. We just had a scam with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Please be careful, everyone, that we have not confirmed if this is officially Nickelodeon coming into the space.
Ah, okay, good. All right, fair play.
Yeah, I just passed my 3 research departments, and I spoke to John Cole about it. We're just not sure.
Right.
Yeah,
okay,
that's really interesting. I think scams can take so many different forms, and big IP and really important players is a really easy one for people to kind of try and pull off. And the problem is that it forces Web 2 to confirm or deny things, and they don't really want to be involved with Web 2 no matter what. Well, Web 3, I mean, no matter what the thing is, they don't, even if they have to deny it, they don't really want to be involved. So it can be pretty tricky. So
yeah, and this is why you have people like Nike that, in my opinion, really did it wisely. Because on the one hand, they're saying there are these native brands who are building over here. Let's partner with a successful one. But also, if this whole ecosystem goes to shit, we kind of are one step removed because we still kept our name Nike separate from that brand. That's very smart.
Yeah. I think it's important to stay a little bit removed, but yeah, the big IP is super important to a lot of people. Let's just put it that way. So, what inspired you to actually design the FatCats? Like the way, like make them into cats per se, like, because that's the really interesting about PFP art projects to me, is there's a lot of them and some of them have really good utility. I've actually been looking through your paper a bit and stuff and actually quite like the FatCats and kind of their goals and things like that. But eventually at some point you have to pick your design as well. What made you choose cats?
Yeah. So, we often kind of fudded on our art along the way because we really could have done an 1155 token. we really could have done a coin. For Crown, we have a coin. But my realization was we're a year and a half out, maybe even 2 years from Fidelity funds arriving, right? We're not, when you think of like HSBC branding a big fund, they don't need a PFP, they've branded the fund, but we're not there yet. And if you're going to stay relevant in these news cycles, right, it's not enough to say, look, our vault has $1 million, therefore the floor should be fractionized, each should be $1 million. No one cares, because if no one can find you and no one's seen you in the news cycle, you become irrelevant. And a really good example that really solidified that for me was ApeDAO. ApeDAO had $30 million in assets. Their coin should have been at $16. Their coin was sitting at $8.20. The DAO was furious. They dissolved themselves, right? And to me, that was simply because they could not be in the brand. So I knew we had to have a profile pic, even if it's a little bit naff and a little bit gimmicky. You've got to have a profile pic because your people are in Discords. They are on Twitter. So why FatCats? I'd lost a cat recently. I'm a cat guy anyway.
Condolences.
Thank you. And I always like the term FatCats, right? Because FatCats tend to be like, used by Washington or London to be like, those pushy new money guys who are lobbying and going to get their way. And so we like that I love the humor in the space, right? Because kind of, you're building something, but you also have to take the piss at yourself. And so it's like, we know we're the new kids on the block, but also we want to have a say in the power players like Bored Ape and Moonbirds and stuff like that. So that was why FatCats as a name stuck, and then why not go with the art as well?
Yeah. I think I've always known that term, but it never really hit me until just then.
Yeah. I know the term as well, and I never actually connected until someone was like, "Oh yeah, FatCats," like the new, like exactly what you just explained. I was like, "Oh my god, how did I miss that?"
And we wanted, I love things like Doodles and Cool Cats that have an art style that's easier copyable and relatable to. But I thought, if we're going to do anything for our Genesis collection, it has to be an art style that has longevity. And so we took this very Disney-esque because Lion King is as popular today as it was in the 90s, right? So you know that it may not be as hot as an anime profile pic, but if you expect them to be here for another 5 years or 5 cycles, you want a profile pic that is relatable to many people.
Yep. And do you mind talking to us about the team, like because you obviously talked to us about what inspired you for the FatCats, what tell us about the team. Who was involved? If you're okay with that, what are their roles? Was that easy to construct that team? Kind of talk to us about that.
Yeah. Well, so I think the part that really gave me an advantage is I didn't come out of nowhere. I'd already been a broker in Upland and made a fortune over there doing high-end brokerage. A lot of those kind of whales were the founding investors in Crown Capital. So we not only had a lot of money, we had a lot of smart people. And basically what had happened around November time was we're like, look, out of nowhere, we've got 1.5 million under management. Like, when did that happen? Should we designate 5-10% to an art portfolio, right? Because a lot of us were holding Doodles, Mutant Apes. We were involved in that ecosystem. It's like, well, if we were anyway funneling money into one space and manpower and expertise, why not also manage it? And there was a massive debate that went on for a couple of weeks. And we roped in John Carlo, and we were, talking to influencers, and we came to the conclusion NFTs really break down into 3 asset classes, right? You've got play to earn games, you've got metaverse platforms, and then you've got those that are building big brands, right? When people talk about kind of the 99.1% paradigm, we're not talking about people going to make bots or make a little restaurant that they'll token gate with an NFT. That's fine. We're talking about those that are building massive brands. 99% of them are going to fail, just like most people fail to make massive brands in the real world, right? And so we felt that it was such a different class of assets to play to earn games. We needed to have a spin-off. We needed a sister DAO. And so a lot of those founding members came over to FatCats. The moment we opened the Discord, we had 300 people. A lot of them were big whales that had put 5 to 50K into Crown. And a lot of them had a lot of expertise. So it was easy to everyone was like, let's see where this goes. We don't have to get an income. And then we started out of nowhere getting, a lot of great mentors that said we're volunteers. So we had a team of like 30 mentors almost from the beginning, or 25 mentors almost from the beginning, and started pooling assets that way.
Right.
Yeah. That's really awesome. Yeah. So, so what is currently in your portfolio in terms of NFTs? and also other assets? Or are you focusing on blue chips, or are you going to expand, or things like that?
Yeah, you're gonna make riskier plays, or is it only blue chips? Yeah, that's a very good question.
Yeah, good question. So currently, I mean, look, we're only like 3 weeks since our mint. So we're just setting up. We've just elected our council. We're just getting our research team set. So I think we've now got 28 volunteer researchers that we're putting into different departments, getting into different things. But basically, the idea is to be looking for that 1%, right? We're seeking that 1%. That's our long-term approach. We don't mind if we have to rebalance our books, right? We don't mind that this month's winner fails to kind of produce what it said it would produce. Something systemically goes wrong with Azuki, and we make an arbitrage play. We also are more than aware that this market moves at 10 times the speed of everything else. And so a long-term play may end up being 4 months, just because you bought in so cheap, the market pumped, this market's overheated, let's sell out and buy back later. So we expect to do a lot of pivoting. But at our core, we're breaking down things into 3 categories. We're calling them the big caps, the mid caps, the small caps. And we're not looking at them based on their floor price. We're looking at them based on at what level in their brand awareness cycle are they, right? In other words, if you take a Bored Ape, it doesn't matter if Yuga Labs never built anything again. The fact is, Bored Ape has reached critical awareness in mass media, right? If you walk down the street wearing a Bored Ape hoodie, someone is going to come over and greet you and honk at you if you're in a big city. It's just, that's the level of awareness. I have a nephew in New York who's 12, and the first thing he said to me when we sat down at a pizzeria when he was visiting was like, Dylan, do you own any Bored Apes? My dad's friend is 2. And I'm like, I mean, is this a parallel universe? But that's what's going on. That's when something's reached critical awareness. So that's what we're looking for in the big caps. And we think that NFTs have had such small adoption already that who cares if a Bored Ape's at 100 ETH? If we start to onboard 20, 30, 50% of the world, that's going to become 1,000 or 10,000 ETH, because a 10,000 supply is extremely small when everybody wants, right? Then we've got the mid caps. The mid caps are those that have failed to kind of break through, right? Or there's something systemically wrong, like Cool Cats or Azuki, and we need to check if there's some that can be fixed. And can we help them fix it, right? Like a lot of the, like things like Doodles did not pop off in price until they had 3 derivatives, right? Doodles did not do the marketing. What Doodles did so smartly was they allowed an official derivative to form called Noodles. People saw that style. They then looked at Doodles again. Then started the derivatives, and Doodles popped off, right? And so when we look at something like Kuhlman's Universe that hasn't popped off, maybe that's all it needs. Maybe that art style just needs to be in the news cycle a few times. Maybe we can help with that. And so that's how we're looking at mid caps. And then small caps are the riskier plays. The small cap stars we're breaking into 2 groups. Category 1 is we can leverage the fact that everyone wants to give us whitelist spots and partner with us to give the DAO some of those valuable things that everyone knows is going to do well, right? A perfect example is PXN. We got a couple of whitelist spots, I believe was 5 at the time, and the DAO wasn't yet formed. But we could have easily taken that for the DAO, bought them at 0.3, sold at 3 ETH, had a 15 ETH profit for the DAO treasury, right? Now, maybe we'll buy back later into PXN. We've got no problem with that, but we will probably flip in those cases because we have not seen if the team's able to yet do what they said they would do. So that's what we arbitrage. The second level is we're building an incubator, and that's why we can talk about it. Why we did Goblin Cats this week, because we want to stress test how strong is our team in all these different departments. Because if we can find people who have raw talent and great ideas and carry them over the finish line and give them the support going forward, then not only can we find early investments, we can make sure that those become potentially the next blue chips.
I wanted to ask, before we move on to the whole Goblin Cats discussion, because I know you brought it up to us before we went live, and I'm keen to hear more about it. With that breakdown of large cap, medium cap, and small caps, do you personally have a rough idea of what kind of allocation you'd like to see? Would it be for example, 60% in large caps, 20%, 10%? Like, how would you like to 60, 20, 10? That actually doesn't make sense. But you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, so when it comes to governance, we break down governance into time sensitive and non-time sensitive. Anything that's non-time sensitive, we take to the entire electorate. So every FatCat is a pro rata vote and share of the DAO.
Sure. Yeah.
And anything that is time sensitive, we try to give a mandate to the council. So when we told them they could buy a Bored Ape, it's also given in as a mandate that if the market pumps or something happens within the infrastructure of Yuga Labs, the council has a majority discretion to do what they need to do. When it came to something like asset allocation, the council proposed, the DAO voted. And so we proposed, and it's just been ratified, 50% for big caps. I believe it was 20 to 30% for medium caps. And then for the incubator and the small caps and cash, we break it down 5, 7, 10 or something like that. Because we also voted on creating a loan protocol this week as well. So we are setting up a liquidity pool that FatCat holders can loan against their FatCats. And we've created a new mortgage program where people who don't have the money to buy a FatCat right now can put down a down payment and pay off over a few months, because we believe in our project long term, and we want people, to not be token gated based on their net worth, but rather we want all the smartest and the hungry and the innovative people to enter our space and feel like there's a way in for them.
Yeah, very interesting.
Like, there is, this space a lot better than I do. So I am really curious about something. If you have something that's like a micro cap, say, something like Goblin Cats, when it starts, will be 0.001 ETH or something like that, let's say. Would you be able to go up and buy thousands of them with the funds you have lying around? And would you be able to, like, almost artificially push up the price and then sell them and things like that, just using your collective resources to do something like that? Or does that not really work in the NFT space?
That's a great question. It doesn't work when an individual whale does it or a DAO does it. Where you see it working is alpha groups.
Okay.
And people often understand why the hell is something popping off. Sometimes, degens are wonderful and they're smart and they're also very easily bored, right? You see it with card players. If they don't have a card game, they kind of start twitching. And so they're looking for something. And because they're looking, they will often see a project and they're like, this is so weird, this is so funny. Let's just buy a bunch of it. And then people start to watch because everyone's watching IC tools and NFT trends. And they're like, holy shit, that's pumping. And everyone's buying in based on volume, right? Because volume is one of the safest metrics to use in the space, which is so illiquid, right? Forget floor price, look at volume. And they're like, wow, what's all that volume going on over there? And then the price starts to rise and more people pile in. So often the catalyst right now for degen plays, especially when there's no clear utility or it was just something funny, is to a catalyst of one degen group bought in and then it starts to cascade.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, even I've got one of those tools now. And I don't know how to use it. I still suck. I'm a terrible degen. But I'll learn eventually. We'll see how we go. Enough losses, and eventually I'll pick up myself.
And I think when you look at the degen stuff, because people are so confused, right, with Goblin Town and stuff, you have to look in terms of story and mystery, right? Hard utility has a price cap to it, right? Because the moment you start to say clearly what you're offering, like an Illuvium as a game, there's a price cap to that. Whereas if you keep it all about vibes and mystery, that allows people to start dreaming up ideas in their head. Wow, this could be the next blah, 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 blah. We can 10Xs. And so they're looking for these obscure things. It fits it fits the way that they like to play the volume.
Actually, Dylan, did you want to bring that one back up? Yeah. Yo, Dylan. I'm going to take us on a little bit of a detour right now, just responding to Crystal, who's watching. What's up, Crystal? She's saying that you're a brilliant communicator and she'd love to see you express your ideas on Illuvium. I know you mentioned Illuvium before. I'd love to, just get your thoughts on that before we jump back on the rails of FatCats, just because I do want to show support to our people in chat, and I'd love to get your thoughts on it as well. So thank you, Crystal, for watching. Stick around. We're doing a giveaway later on. I'm going to get Dylan to ask you guys a question. Dylan does not know this yet, so I'm telling him now. Dylan, I'm going to get you to ask a question to our audience, and you can pick the best answer. It can be a serious question. It can be a fun question. It can be something like crypto related. And we're just going to give them $100. But anyway, back to what Crystal was asking you, man. What are your thoughts on Illuvium? And before we jump back onto the FatCats train.
Yeah, so full disclosure, Crown Capital put in around 120 ETH into Illuvium. Okay. We took quite a serious position. My stance on Illuvium is, let's backtrack. My stance on the play-to-earn games, the blockbuster play-to-earn games, and I'm calling them that because I think Illuvium has become a pretty serious studio, along with Gala Games and Big Time and a few others. These are creators that are not just making a social game like breeding, like CryptoKitties or Wolf Game. They're creating a game that really could appeal to the 3 billion active users around the world, right? And those 3 billion active users may be confrontational right now. They're like, fuck the blockchain, we don't need this stuff. But at the same time, they're all crypto savvy, and they've all been bitching for the last 2 decades about not owning their stuff. Okay, they hated that they can't sell their gold. They hate that they close in for terms of services. So they really do want to own their stuff, right? I think, for example, like the catalyst, one of the big catalysts will be, we know that everything's gone very PC. Okay, you're going to have a story where one of these big guilds, someone is going to say an N-word or something nasty. They're going to have the guild shut down. They're going to have the guild shut down, and then they're going to go, oh shit, that blockchain stuff makes sense. Because in a blockchain game, you can close my account. You can't take my stuff. If you close my account for terms of service violations, I can vote with my feet and sell out of this game.
Yeah.
Right?
So exactly.
I think that's going to be that missing point about property rights, right? You can tell me I can't come to your restaurant, but you can't just take my wallet. Right?
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
property rights. You can block entry. It's your house. You can tell me I can't play this game. But all of these games have had these terms of service that basically say, we lock your account, we close your account, all your stuff is lost. That's not property rights.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I think that is needed. We're going to need mainstream games that can appeal to these people. And I think Illuvium, with its high fidelity, with its Unreal Engine 5, with pushing the boundaries, is creating a game that is very, very much a contender to do so. I think the danger zone for Illuvium, and this is not for Illuvium only, it's for all the games, is twofold. Number one, tokenomics has not been solved because we've never really had real economies, right? Meaning we know what people like as a game, but because all of these economies, although they had huge amounts of gold and stuff, were not really real because you couldn't take the money out, we didn't have what's called real market interactions, right? Okay. So we don't yet know fully the understanding of the tokenomics. That's a very difficult one. Plus, your early investors are just that, investors, whereas a game to succeed needs collectors, players, and investors. So that's aspect number one. And then to be brief, the second big problem is, building on a blockchain, everything needs to be verified, everything needs to be confirmed. The frustration for people coming in, like, why can't I be player versus player? Why is this taking so long, et cetera, may be unacceptable for mass adoption. And so these are the two big hurdles. But I think the Warwick brothers are very grounded. They understand these hurdles, and they're fighters. They're willing to build and apologize and keep doing things, right? I think the way they handled the SILV crises was commendable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got a really good way to segue. So I'm gonna ask this one last question about Illuvium, and we can move on. But did you get involved with the land at all?
That's where we put the money.
That's where you put the money, right. Fair play. Did you guys get mega cities and whatnot, or?
Our stance was buy tier 4s and 3s at the lowest price we could get, and then start to go to the market because we're long-term focused. This wasn't a flip for us. We intend to run a mining colony. We can start to fill up the lands around because it was just too difficult to both focus on price and focus on trying to get a perfect 4. So we bought in tier 4 around 15.8 ETH, but paid in SILV. And we bought our SIV 14% below ETH. So we did great. We got I think 6 of those, and then we got 3 tier 3s that we got in the 3 ETH, 3.2 ETH. So we were very happy with our purchase.
Yeah, congrats.
So
congrats.
I know you said Crown was the one that commissioned the lands and everything. Are they going to be beneficial at all for the FatCats DAO, or are they separated?
We are separate, but we're very close. So we share a lot of infrastructure stuff when we're setting up offshore trusts, when we start dealing with lawyers, when we're dealing, even some of the things like DocuSign that we can share between our departments, we just share it. In addition to that, FatCats did not want to have an ERC20 token because we're already borderline problematic with the SEC. We don't want to push any more buttons. We're very comfortable operating in the gray. We're talking to lawyers in the British Virgin Island. We know how to structure things, but don't poke the bear, right? As you've seen with OpenSea, right? OpenSea loves to delist and ask questions later, right? I had to consult with our friends from Slotties who have been delisted. It's not a fun thing, right? So rather kind of be extra cautious than uncautious. What that's important for is when we do want to use 20 tokens, whether it be for stipends in metaverse platforms or embassies and stuff, we now have a token from Crown Capital, which is not just a normal token, it's an asset-backed token, right? The Crown Capital token is itself a governance token like the Illuvium coin. It's backed by the hard assets that we own in Mirandus, Illuvium, and so on. So that's one aspect. The second aspect is a lot of our people would like to be in play-to-earn games. FatCats will be a guild that will be first right of refusal for any of them that want to get involved in games with Crown Capital.
Yeah, definitely. I think having the connections, even with yourself to a degree, is really valuable for sure.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to use this to kind of pull us back onto the FatCats train, because we have a lot of questions regarding FatCats, and obviously you are the current expert on that topic, so we want to get your thoughts on those things. So can you break down the utility? What is the actual utility of having a FatCat? What are the plans for FatCats? I know you said that you're trying to use the capital to purchase these blue chip NFTs, or like you say, mid caps and small caps, just NFTs in general, create the art collection. So what does having a FatCat do for you in that space? Like, what is the purpose of that? Again, sure. Disclaimer, I have 3. I think I have 3. And I have at least 3. I might have more. I forgot. But I have at least 3, 100%.
Yeah, we have a lot of whales, actually. We have over 100 people that have more than 20 FatCats each.
Yeah, sure.
And then we have, I think, 8 that have over 50. And Crown Capital itself owns 100 FatCats.
Sure.
So anyway, I would break it down into 3 groups. I would say utility number 1, the tangible, is a blue chip NFT hedge fund structure as a collectors club. So we're pooling funds together, also pooling intellectual resources, right? In other words, if you want to do all the research we do, that would cost you a lot of money in research papers or time or energy. Rather, we're focusing that into a council. They being paid a stipend, right? All the royalties and everything goes to the DAO. The DAO owns everything and pays salaries as need be. We also have external advisors in the form of John Carlo and Brett Malinowski, who are paid a consulting fee when the council needs their advice or professional opinion on what we should be investing in. So classic hedge fund mentality, pool a lot of assets, have a core team, keep your kind of core fees very low, and then, give people bonuses if we do very well and stuff like that. That's kind of how we structured it. So, that's the tangible. People often ask, well, is it just capital gains? Can I get money out? We will be voting on that every 6 to 8 weeks. Do you want us to kind of, with your capital, do you want us to reinvest? Do you want us to pay out? How much you want us to pay out, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of the community doesn't want us to pay out because then it's a taxable event for them, right? And so if they really believe in the NFT space, then compounding is very useful to them. Yeah. So that's kind of core utility number 1. Utility number 2 is we call ourselves a business lounge and think tank, right? A premier business lounge and think tank, as opposed to an alpha community, because we're not just looking at trades. We're not just looking at a whitelist marketplace. We have a lot of those. But we have people doing very serious research papers on how to look at founders, what's the philosophy of the space, what does a brand mean, how should we be looking at people, brands that are crossing back into Web 2, back into Web 3. So we have a lot of thought pieces in that. We also have very robust discussions. We almost are on our cafe, I think, 18 hours a day. There's people there chatting, offering other classes to people. We have partnerships with inventors and other groups that keep putting in content for us, education and stuff like that. So tangible is a blue chip NFT fund structured as a collectors club. Secondly, we've got a premier business club and think tank. And then the last part I'd say is we're always leveraging our network to build our brand, right? Because as I said from the start, if you do not keep staying in the news cycle, you do not stay relevant, you do not get whitelist opportunities, you do not get partnership opportunities, you do not hear the early alpha. And so we're always trying to integrate ourselves. We have 36 metaverse embassies already planned, I believe, that we've already negotiated, because we believe, metaverse platforms are going to be very important from a social capital point of view. We've already got massive discounted bot tools and stuff for our members. And so being integrated everywhere and building out that brand and getting deals is very important to us as well.
Awesome. So, I just seen Jacob. Jacob asked, "I'm a FatCat holder. Sadly, I missed the Goblin Cats free mint. What are the Goblin Cats all about?" Jacob, we are going to answer that question right after we do this giveaway. So we're gonna do our giveaway right now. I'm gonna throw it to Scoriox. I'll let him take this one, but we will answer that question right after this.
So first thing we need to say is we have a lot of stuff planned for Augment, so just keep that in mind. I'm sure Dylan's going to be around as well, hanging out. But there's a lot of cool stuff. There's a community event coming in a few weeks, which we're going to give away a lot of cash there. So definitely stay tuned for the details on that. Hopefully this week we'll be dropping as much as possible.
Yeah.
And we're also going to be having a really cool event with Augment Clips. So definitely make sure to watch that channel. But what we're effectively going to do is hide an alluvial in one of those clips, and there's a ginormous cash prize for anyone that finds it. So it's going to be a super fun mini game. We're going to see how it goes. We'll give you all the details for that sometime this week too. But definitely make sure you subscribe for that, because as soon as a new video drops, it could be the one you're looking for.
Yeah. Do you want to
keep a mind on that?
Scarks, do you want to tell people how much we're giving away for that Augment's clip giveaway? I think it's a nice thing to kind of put out there.
Augment's clip giveaway, I believe it's about $1,000 USD in prizes.
We just out here giving $1,000 away, guys. So yeah, I told you guys, we got big things happening on that channel. So subscribe to that channel, because we're gonna be going nuts over there.
Okay, so let's return back to the giveaway at hand. Dylan, do you have a question you want to ask our audience? And then Dylan's also going to pick the winner, who he thinks has not necessarily the best answer, but the most creative or something new or unique that he thinks
whatever he likes.
Whatever he picks, really. It just everyone's answers are obviously valued, and we're going to try and answer as many as we can. I mean, given they're not repeating too much. Yeah. But yeah, so do you have any questions you want to ask the crew?
Yeah. Since it's part of the meta and topical, I'll phrase it as a two-pronged question.
Cool.
Sure.
What inspired you? What inspired you the most about the recent Goblin Town rise to ascendance, and what shocked you the most? So, what surprised you the most in a good way, and what shocked you the most?
Yeah, cool. That's actually a really good one. While we went with those guys,
I've got to ask what's topical, right?
Yeah. What inspired and shocked you about? Yeah, okay. While they get their answers in, I'll answer, and we can participate in this as well.
Sure.
Yeah, so I kind of found out about it. Man, I just saw like so many goblins, and I just thought the art was ugly, which is obviously the purpose. Like, it was cute, ugly, right? It was like, that was the purpose. And I saw one of my friends that I'm pretty close to, and he's like big in NFTs. Like, he's got multiple Bored Apes, multiple mutant apes, like solidified whale. And he got in. And I know it's one of the biggest things that you shouldn't do, just jump in because someone else did. But I was like, all right, man, if this guy's getting in at that price that it was at, it was like 0.3 ETH or something like that. It was still relatively cheap. I was like, oh man, what, like, it's something that I can throw away. So I wasn't even going to get it. I was like, I don't want to do it. And I showed my wife, and my wife doesn't know anything about NFT. She hates this stuff, not hates this stuff, but she's just not interested. And when I showed it to her, she's very like, oh, I only wanted if it's cute. I showed it to her, and she was like, this is so, I was expecting her to say it was ugly, but she was like, yo, this is so cute. The moment I saw that she said it was cute, I was like, yo, there's something there. There's absolutely something there. If someone like her, who's super like actual cutesy, said something like, this ugly thing is cute, I ended up getting it. I did end up paper handing it for like double. So I did double it. But yeah, that was my story. And the thing that blew me away was how hilarious it was, man. Like the Twitter space where they were just making goblin noises. Like, the marketing is just insane.
Yeah, I think I got in much later than you. I think I got in about 0.6, so maybe I got in when you got out.
You probably bought my one.
Pardon? I bought it because I saw TSG's one, actually, which is really interesting to your points and things about the way marketing and growth and Twitter and all that sort of stuff sort of grows. I got in when I saw TSG's one. I'm like, let's do it. I was feeling degen. I got out at about 2 ETH, I think.
Yeah, damn.
I wouldn't say I paper handed. I would have liked to hold it for longer. But the problem was the land sale was around the corner. And I was trying to lock in as many gains as possible because my priority was getting as much land as possible. There's really no other way about it. Before I knew it, I actually have more land worth in ETH than I actually have ILV, which is really sad. So I'm going to correct that next. But yeah, so have you seen some of the answers kind of popping up on the screen, Dylan?
Yeah.
They all kind of flooded in at once. It was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very good question.
I'm gonna point a few things that I think are brilliant. The
Yeah.
marketing was brilliant. Continue to keep people engaged with mystery. Let's scroll back down to that. How do I scroll?
Using your mouse, the thing in the
you
middle.
just hover your
I
mouse
can
over
scroll.
it.
I can actually scroll. Fantastic. The marketing was brilliant. Continue to keep people engaged with mystery and storytelling. Also, how resilient the holders were, given it almost pioneered the wave of excitement of Freeman. So I think that's really on point.
Absolutely.
I also thought, let's see where it was.
The free mint
reflection of the bear market frustration in the form of Goblin Town NFT rise is what I appreciate about it.
Yeah.
The surprise was how fast the rise of floor was. I think both of those are really good. Maybe we share it between them. I don't know, but I think those are the 2 points that I would touch on myself.
All right,
What
cool.
do you want to do, TSG? Do you want to split it between them, or it's hard with gas and stuff? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's fine. But I think what we'll do is
flip a coin. I don't care.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, because we are in the crypto space and everything is somewhat gamified, what I'm gonna do real quick is the first one of you guys to DM me on either Twitter or Discord is gonna be the person that wins $100. So get on it. DM me right now.
Nana and Joshua.
Yeah, DM me right now. Who was it? It was Nana
and Joshua.
Yep, Joshua Williams, Nana, Push the Tagalu. I probably butchered that. DM me right now, and whoever is the first person is going to win $100.
Fantastic.
Yo, I apologize for the other person. Like, Dylan was trying to be nice, saying share it, but only one winner's here. Only one winner here right now.
I don't care. You know, DJs should cut each other up to pieces. We're Illuvium, right? There's a death match.
That's exactly it.
I just didn't know how you're going to do it. Were you going to do a flip a coin? Were you going to make the Hunger Games?
Yo, I like this one. All right, cool. Right. So let's jump back. Let's jump back, man.
Goblin Cats.
Yeah, Goblin Cats. Talk to us about that, man. It's a perfect segue.
Yeah. So I was following Goblin Town, but more as a philosopher than an investor. I tend to have a stance when it comes to me doing degen plays. I don't do them if I don't have the time. Right? I am a value investor at heart. I need a lot of conviction in projects. I can move very fast, but I do need the time. And so, my friends over at Metaverse HQ told me very early on as well. I think it was a 0.2 that they were telling me about it. I didn't even have time to look at the website. I put it on my to-do list. By the time I was at my to-do list, it was a 1.5 ETH. And then everyone was starting to come and Dylan, what's going on over here? And so I gave a lecture at the time that focused on 2 things. Because when I did start looking at the website, I was very, very impressed. I said 2 things. Number one, whenever we start to have the NFT space become almost too serious, right? In other words, we're making a big game, or we're moving into 3D or 4D, or everything's going to be animated, the degens come back and go, fuck you, yes, cryptodes, right? Because we've seen this once before play out before like this. Cryptodes minted for almost nothing. No one knew about it. It pumped to 40 ETH.
Yeah.
Right? We've seen this before. We've seen Gremlin's career be built on cryptodes. So I think when you have that premise that the degens are like, we don't need all this fluff. We don't need all of these gimmicky, huge long-term promises. If you take away everything, take away all the thrills, take away the IP rights, give us CCO, take away the Discords. Who has the time to run a Discord community? There's too many requirements to join Discords. Put it just on Twitter. That's where the magic is, and make it a performative art, right? Because that's what happened both with Goblin Town and Wagdai, right? These are masters at performative art and execution. I mean, that website was so on point, and your girlfriend, your wife's on point, right? In other words, doing ugly well is extremely difficult.
It's so insane. Yeah, the fact that they did that.
Unbelievable. Difficult. And so, the fact that it's still relatable to and not like cringeworthy, it's like, I get, and you see the site and they're nodding each other, and it's like, it's like, on point, just on point. It captures where we feel about ourselves. It's like a peppy moment, right? It's like peppy.
Yeah.
So that's where I was very impressed. And that got us having a massive discussion within FatCats about CCO, social games, thought experiments. And we're like, you know what? This is the first time that a derivative is acceptable, right? Because if people that, you can't just do derivatives. You can't during the era of Bored Apes and Azuki. It's considered poor taste. No reputable project or founders would put their name behind a derivative project. Okay, it's not that. But because this was a CCO, because they basically said, do what the hell you want with our IP, it's like, okay, man, challenge accepted. Challenge accepted. We're going to come along with this show. And so we thought, what a great opportunity. We're trying to explore the idea of CCO. We're trying to explore this idea of, can our incubator build quickly and execute well and do these sites that really tell a story and stuff like that. And so we came up with, let's come along for this ride and build Goblin Cats. And we did that in 6 days. Goblin Cats was literally executed from beginning to end in 6 days.
Yeah, that's wild. And again, I know you kind of mentioned this to us before we went live. I don't know if you want to hold off on that or you want to tell us about it now, but what is some of the utility, if any, planned for the Goblin Cats collection?
People are going to have to turn on notifications for Twitter. Whereas with FatCats, everything is transparency to the extreme. We would ruin your experience if I gave it away. I'm not someone who's able to keep a secret, but for this, I think we've got a beautiful narrative being driven over here. We've got a lot coming, but it's going to be revealed via the Twitter. It's going to be revealed via the storytelling and the narratives over there, and not by me just kind of saying, hey, this is what's up.
Yeah, and absolutely. I'm keen to see what you guys, again, because everything you've done for me personally, it kind of came out of nowhere and it just picked up buzz quickly. So I'm excited to see what this Goblin Cats thing, I legitimately just found out about that. Yeah, when was the mint? Because I found out about it yesterday.
Well, we decided one of our, we've got this very open architecture system. It's like bouncing ideas and everything. And so one of our people did a sketch of a Goblin Cat on the 2nd of June. And I'm like, dude, you can draw like that? He's like, yeah. He's like, and do you want to do something with this? Let's endorse an official derivative, because we had the contract people around. We had the team that could go back to all of our collaboration partners and stuff like that. And so he ripped out the art within 6 days. And because when you do something like this, you've got to do it into a certain cycle, right? If you miss the meta, you miss the meta. This is a meta. Exactly. So we knew, we were trying to aim for Wednesday. Instead, we went into today, which was kind of Friday. The whitelist, the pre-sale was 6 hours, and then we sold within an hour on the public.
Yo, wow, well done. Scoriox, Nifty Central asking the important questions. Where's the Illuvium blanket?
That's a really good idea. I'm going to get onto it. I get paid on Tuesday, so we'll go from there. Just talking about the performative art stuff, I think that's really interesting because I never really saw I never really, coming from the world of design, I did spend a lot of my life, or a lot of my uni life, avoiding art because art was never really my thing. And to be quite frank, I never quite understood it. But the way the goblins and everything else have combined performative art, which I don't get on its own, but the way they've combined that with community is really, really interesting. And I think I'm starting to finally get art in a more broad sense from this single experience as well. And I think it's really some interesting stuff. And it definitely has me redefining kind of my perspectives on certain things for sure.
Yeah, and I think you have to look at when you're looking at the art over here in something like Goblin Town, you're not just looking at the profile pic. The profile pic, remember, is that way to show support for your brand, right? It's like putting on a soccer t-shirt, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. The performative art is akin to theater. These guys are getting on, giving you a radio broadcast in Goblin, telling you they're looking for nom-noms, then they're dropping the burger. It's like the acts of a show, right? You like the live theater. And remember, you've got a lot of rich, young guys and gals, okay, ladies and DJs, with a lot of money who are happy to come along for this kind of performative play, which also then has them strategizing and working out, right? It's like a game of Risk or Monopoly. Like, should we get in? Should we get out? And that's where the excitement is. There's also a lot of money there, but the fact that they can lose it and win it the game is exciting. Yeah. And they start to build this experiment with, can we build a strong community without having the normal means of, let's meet for a coffee, let's meet in real world, let's meet in the Discord. Can we do it all with nods and winks at each other on Twitter and with hashtags? and feel that kind of brand collaboration, right? And you would you see that maybe akin with like Believers, right? Remember when Justin Bieber had that whole hashtag Believer? That's when you saw something similar to this. Girls all around the world suddenly felt a kinship with other girls because they were sharing this tag Believer. They were part of this kind of community cult section group, or whatever.
Yeah, not just girls, guys too. I'm a believer.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Cool. Good for you, man.
Very nice.
So I want to ask a slightly more I don't want to say slightly more serious question, but something just I'm very interested to get your thoughts on this, right? And I believe that's what the title of this episode is: which NFTs are worth buying in the bear market. So the question I wanted to ask you is, do you believe that NFTs could actually be a better thing to hold compared to cryptos in a bear market in general, or do you think that that's a pretty silly statement to make? What are your thoughts on that? Like, where do you see that going?
I don't think it's an either or, right? Because if you think of, NFTs are built on these crypto ecosystems, right? They are separate asset classes, and yet they're heavily connected, right? To me, it's like the equivalent of saying, should I invest in this property and just look at the property and not take into account that it's in a war-torn country or a country with good regulations, right? This is why chains matter so much. People say, oh, gas. Yes, but Ethereum has shown you that it's the equivalent of America, where some of these new chains have exciting new ideas. They're like El Salvador, right? But we haven't battle tested El Salvador. We don't know what can happen in El Salvador. It's great that they want to explore. We want to support innovation. But when you're talking your serious life savings, you want to be on that place that's been battle tested again and again and again and stood up to a test. So they are not interchangeable. What ratio should you be investing? That's a great question. And I think what NFTs give us that cryptos don't is a tremendous amount of fundamentals, right? We're actually starting to be able to bring in these metrics that we bring from the real world or the traditional finance world of who's the team, what are they building, what are their deliverables, what are their expectations, is this something they can do, what's the Web3 aspects, what's the Web2 aspect, etc. Because we can start to ask those questions, we can actually put analytical reports. Whereas the reason why crypto attracted mostly technical investors was because until there is utility, the value investors like me are like, I know this is extremely important to tech, but I don't know how to price this. How can I price something without any adoption of it yet, right? It was NFTs and third world adoption of crypto that finally got me to become an Ethereum maxi. I love the technology. I've been following it since 2014. But until I see the use cases, how can I anchor money on that?
Yeah, no, 100%, absolutely. Oscar, did you have something to add to that?
No, I just think it's really interesting, that we haven't, NFTs haven't been around for very long, so there's still a lot of research to do, and until we've done that, I mean, the same's with crypto, really. Crypto's only existed in a secular bull run for its entire existence, right?
Yeah.
And until we see it in a bear market, we have no historical data at all. It doesn't really matter what anyone says, but the closer it tracks to the NASDAQ, then you can start drawing parallels, right? Okay, so I think the last question we have on our minds is:
Did you want to respond to Walking Feather's question as well? I've seen that in the chat. I've seen that in the chat.
Which question am I looking at now?
Bitcoin may crash more in the long run. Do you feel people will rather hold crypto or NFTs?
And we can all answer that ourselves. Actually, I'd be keen to hear your thoughts. Scoriox, do you want to go first, and then we'll go Dylan, and I can end it.
I don't really have an answer. I think crypto will probably be better for the most part, but it couldn't hurt to hedge. That being said, if you're hedging with NFTs, I would say stick to blue chips. If you can. Otherwise, if you can't stick to blue chips, I'd probably stay mostly in crypto. Maybe a couple of projects that you really love in NFTs, and if you love their art, then you're not really losing anything if it goes to zero, right?
Yeah. Dylan,
so I'm going to actually build on your score, because what I think you're saying is traditional, what I would say, investment advice to people entering the stock market. If you've got a lot of time to do heavy research and you are properly building your fund with research, then buy what you think makes a lot of sense. If you are a casual investor, then sticking to crypto coins that already have a lot more price data, are easier to assess, is probably a safer way to go, right? I think that's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's like this famous advice. People say, what stock should I buy? I say, are you going to be studying stocks? They say, no.
Yeah.
I said, then buy an index. Buy the S&P 500 because it's going to outperform your stupidity. It's not going to have emotional reactions. It's not going to jump in and out. You're buying into, you're saying, I believe in this overall economy and this industry. And that's what I'm saying. So similar thing, like you're saying, with NFTs. If you believe in NFTs as an overall ecosystem, buy in the ones that have already shown teams that can perform and are stable, right?
Yeah.
If you are spending a lot of time degenning and are going to do the work, then explore. But always, diversify some of your funds. Never work with funds that you can't afford to lose, right? If you don't have your 6 months plan, you're going to be hyper stressed and do terrible things with your money.
100%.
I would say the really interesting part to me that has left me really calm is, firstly, I don't want for anything. I have a very simple Zen life. To me, when I think of making money, it's like, what another asset can I buy, right? I think like Warren Buffett and Elon Musk. It's like, stuff is not that interesting to me. The influence or the game of it is interesting to me. And so what I think is so cool when I look at the market right now is that we do not have a full-blown bear market this time, because everything is down, right? Because all markets are down, we have a situation where people don't have an alternative to put their money. In the last bear market, Twitter died. All the money moved. It went back into USDC, went to real estate or into stocks. Now people are like, oh shit, stocks are down, real estate's overpriced, mortgages are going to be high interest rates. What do we do? Well, we may as well keep it in these NFTs that have already been serving us and doing us well, and the same with crypto. And so I think that's the way to look at this. That I would say to people, if you're already holding bags that you bought in for fundamental reasons that you believed in, there's no point getting out of them. But if you are holding bags because it's like, I've lost money and I just, I don't want to take a loss, take your loss, because you can move that money. Everything's cheap now. Go and put it into another investment that you can do something with.
Yeah, definitely. What do you have to say on that, TSG? What are you planning on?
So my answers there would be, I think I agree with pretty much almost everything Dylan said. If you're super going to be onto it, I'll say what I'm planning on doing. I'm definitely going to be more on the crypto side of things still, betting on, for example, Ethereum, because I'm also an ETH maxi. And a lot of the bigger NFTs are on that. So just betting on Ethereum itself seems like a smart play for me, because none of this is financial advice. And there are, like you say, a couple of NFTs that I'm going to hold for a long time. And I'm not looking at flipping them unless something crazy happens. But for example, my bags, I'll be transparent. I have FatCats, which I'm not planning on leaving anytime soon. I have ETH lizards. And I have VFriends. So those are my three, kind of hold for a very, very long time. VFriends 2, version 2. I don't want to act like I have VFriends version 1. So yeah, those are the three that I want to hold for a very long time. And maybe I add to them. Maybe there's something else that I do degen in, but that's going to be a small percent of my portfolio that I kind of just play around with. But otherwise, I'm going to be doubling down on my crypto holdings themselves, and actually going into the stock market again, because I've kind of been missing out on that, and I just want to kind of rebalance my portfolio a bit and just kind of, I think there are a lot of good opportunities there for less volatile assets, even though right now is a very volatile time. But I think just buying into that might be a good thing. So
we're starting to hit towards the end of the hour mark, and we do have one last question, which I think is probably our best question yet. Okay, so thanks TSG for pulling that one together. So I'm going to quickly throw it to you. What are some use cases for NFTs that you're looking at, or you might be interested in, that you believe hasn't really caught onto the masses yet? These are really interesting, especially when we're talking to people that are smarter than us. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Because I've got a couple that I think is mad interesting, but I want to hear what you guys think.
So I mentioned, but I'll mention again, when we talk about the 99.1% paradigm, we're only talking about big brands, right? In other words, when people tell you that this art should be worth more than just the art, right? The cost of going to a Fiverr artist or a quality artist to do it, right? Because we like art. I'll pay art. Some art I'll pay $250. But if I'm going to be paying $2,500, it has to have legs, right? And so I'm looking for the ones where the art will become a Nickelodeon, a Disney, a proper brand. For the other 99%, those are going to fail, because just like they fail all the time. But there are other kinds of NFTs, right? There are NFT bots, right? Actual tools. Those are fine. Those are good business models, right? If there's a requirement for charts, if there's DJs who are active over here, I mean, Forbes has done amazing for Bloomberg has done amazing, right? And they continue to do amazing because people need cutting edge tools. So tools, I think we're going to see a lot of competition over there, and that competition is going to rapidly get us very high quality tools, which is exciting to me. We're already seeing price come down and quality improve. The other use case is, I would say, boutique token gating. And what I mean by that is, Kevin Rose of Proof loves to give an example of a boutique winery in California. And what makes it interesting is they have a limited supply, right? It's a very small piece of land. It's a very small area of grapes. They only have a certain amount of wine every month. And so the way they structured it was a membership club, right? Every person who bought a membership over there gets a certain amount of wine. And now they have a 3 months waiting list, right? Now, imagine if that was an NFT. Two wonderful things can happen. The free market can start to bid up that price. Someone will say to someone else, I know you love this wine. I'll give you $10,000. Okay.
Yep.
And number two, by them having royalties, they can now actually give back benefits to the holders, to those who don't sell the wine bottles. They can take some of that money, have cheese festivals, have wine educations, have tastings, maybe take some of that money to invest in growing the winery so that they can take on more members. And so those kinds of use cases, right? Like when McDonald's comes out with an NFT that gives me a Big Mac every Tuesday for free, I mean, I'm just going to say how much.
Yeah.
Probably not the best. Big Mac.
Yeah, probably not the best for your health, but I see what you mean.
Yeah, but I mean, what I'm going to say,
I would The problem with that sort of NFTs, I would expect that to be a loss on McDonald's part, but it is pretty interesting because really the royalties they would get from that NFT would most likely offset that loss.
Yes, and marketing. The brand value, the Web3 has a very strong hidden brand value. It's hip, it's cool, it's frontier. And it makes a commodity product that isn't just a hamburger that's trading for McDonald's. There's already such a market. There are collectors of McDonald's Happy Meal toys, but McDonald's doesn't control that market. That is a secondary market. If McDonald's had control over this is our official brand, they can even link merchandise to it, drops to it. They will be inspiring that volume and actually engaging their global community with more than just a food and and some ice cream. That's extremely powerful. That is what brands die for. This is why, when Gucci and stuff are looking now at Bored Apes and things like that, they're like, holy shit, every Bored Ape is essentially a boardwalk model. Right?
Exactly.
We've got them on Instagram and Twitter, sitting there as profiles with 20,000 followers. All we need to do is put a handbag in their hand.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, easy. And actually, so I'll say my thoughts on something that I would like to see, and then Scoriox, you can say that, and we can call it there. So something that I'm actually very, very interested in is. Like, because I'm massive in, I won't say massive, but I'm very interested in the music industry and creatives, because I used to produce music and whatnot. So it's something that I'm very, very interested in. And it's been like a common story for a long time. And this is not NFT art. This is just NFT technology in general, about how like labels like give these bad deals and lock these artists in for a long time. And it's just, it's like a very, like, I don't want to say it, but it's a very detrimental cycle that they're going in, where these labels own like publishing and everything like that, masters and publishing, and it's just nuts for creators. Like, it takes everything away from them, and they just like have to. It's just nuts. So I like the thing that I'm really looking forward to is actually the NFTs and how going back to again the royalties, selling NFTs and saying like, yo, like if you support me as an artist, you get some of my royalties from from Spotify, from all of my streaming, from all of my concerts, merch sales, and having people that kind of say, I don't know who your favorite things, but let's just say like this is kind of a throwback. I know he's not as relevant anymore, but I will go back to the Justin Bieber thing. Imagine if people were able to buy an NFT of Justin Bieber where he didn't need to get, because all record labels are their funding mechanism. So imagine if he was able to get funding, Justin Bieber was able to get funding from his actual fans, who then got a piece of everything that he became. And so many times, like the flex value of people saying, yo, I found Justin Bieber first, or I found Pink Floyd first, or I knew about this band before you did. And back like in our time currently or just before, those bands or artists that we really supported as the underdog, soon as they blew up, a lot of people like, oh man, they're mainstream now, or we're not as into them because everyone knows about him. But if the NFT thing gets done properly, one, you'd be more than happy to say, yo, I was there from the start, because now that they're much bigger, you're getting a much larger check based on the revenue that they're bringing in. And so I think that idea, and the second thing of the actual freedom of the artist to be able to do what they want, have creative control, own their masters and publishing, which if anyone knows anything about music is so important. Like, it's just insane. Like Michael Jackson owned half of Sony. I don't know if anyone knows this. Like he owned the Beatles, like masters and publishing in music is an insane thing. So NFTs allowing artists to own that is a huge thing. And I think it's going to be a massive change in creative freedom, in just the content that we get, how artists behave themselves, collaborations, just the way that we experience music and art in that way, I think would completely change once this starts to happen. I know Tory Lanez is one of the big ones that did that. I think he sold like 1 million NFTs for like $1 each or something like that, but he sold it out in like a minute. Like, it was nuts. So just like the opportunity there, and I'm really interested to see how that plays out in the future. That for me is the biggest thing. NFTs in music. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't really have too many thoughts on this sort of thing. There's one kind of bouncing off what TSG said, and I think something like that for creators would be really interesting as well. Like for example, Twitch, you have custom emotes. Maybe you can also create NFTs or just an art piece inside Twitch platform. You can give it away to a follower or something like that, and just give away one by one of ones and stuff like that. And say you hit 100,000 followers, and eventually the first ever NFT you gave away, or the first couple or whatever, have their own sort of value. Like I was here first, like TSG said. The other thing, really the only thing that has come to my mind is going back to old school marketing strategies and replacing some of those things with NFTs. For example, arcade games and stuff with your like jackpot prize and things like that. So everyone's playing the arcade game and things like that, and the person that wins this NFT or something like that. And then you've also got, I know that companies have mimicked this. Obviously, this in particular is fictional, but something like your Willy Wonka chocolate factory thing. Companies giving away a handful of NFTs in a raffle or a cereal packets. There's a QR code that grants you an NFT type deal, and then eventually there's 7 NFTs that go out, and everyone gets like a trip to Hawaii or something like that. But then the NFT was also your ticket, so you also have that from that event. And that harkens back to your original Happy Meal toys. I think the original Happy Meal toys are worth quite a bit. So just adding NFTs to everything, not everything has to stick, but there's some things that will hold value in the future. And I like the idea of going back to the old school marketing strategies and replacing them with NFTs or adding NFTs on top.
Yeah, I would just comment on your point. Look, I think you laid the ideal vision very well, TSG. I think, there's a lot of hope over there, but I think you need to temper your expectations. And the reason you need to temper your expectations is I think the aspect that you touched on that is very important, because it really plays into everything else, is if musicians can crowdsource via NFTs and then share their income with these early adopters instead of a big studio, that will be revolutionary. But
insane.
The reason why most artists are starving is because artists are a commodity product. Most artists do things for passion's sake and not just for the money's sake. And because of that, they will take nothing for their art. It's not that they're just being exploited. It's artists have historically allowed themselves to be exploited because artists are, in a way, ruthlessly cannibalizing each other, because they go, I can do that, 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 I can do that. Okay? And so because of that, you still have to get that 1% of artists breaking out. And so I can envision, as you say, an artist who went through the traditional method, has built a brand name, most of his old IPs owned by a big studio, but now he's got enough of a fan base that believes in him that his next single can be
exactly, absolutely. Absolutely. Or even even it might be interesting. Again, just going off that, if they go the traditional route, they amass a following, and like you said, like their masters and publishing are owned by, let's say, Sony or something like that, and they use this NFT thing to say, all right, we're going to crowdfund essentially, and use that to purchase those masters and publishing back.
Wonderful.
And they get the token holders get the revenue from those masters and publishing things. Something like that could be an opportunity as well. But yeah, like you say, like the whole thing could be revolutionary. It is. I think it's going to take some time.
Yeah,
it's going to be difficult.
For little indie artists who think they're coming into something and it's going to change everything, then I'm sorry to burst your bubbles, friends. It's not going to. There's a reason why Fiverr works, and there's a reason why these things work. You are going to have to build enough of a track record or presence to bring your community with you, and then create this system. And that's, I think, the key point. Artists are going to flourish, but maybe not you, if you are using this to kind of bypass the fact that you need to build a following.
You need to build that. I think, sorry, I should have made that clear. The biggest thing is this only works if, one, your art is good enough, and two, you have an actual following. If you're providing enough value to them, only then could this work. It's not a thing for everyone, but yes, 100%.
Yeah, because I get musicians asking me all the time, and I'm like, but still no one knows you. And now nobody has made an NFT instead of nobody who just made a CD record. It's
like a mixtape. Yeah, if no one wants to listen, no one wants to listen. Yeah. All right, Dylan, we've hit the hour mark. Thank you so much for coming on, man. Is there we really appreciate your time, and it's been an incredible conversation. Is there anything you kind of want to leave us with before we end this off?
Yeah, I would say keep your chin up, because there's this famous joke, Lord, if you can't make me thin, please make all my friends fat. And in a market where the whole world is burning, it's kind of comfortable that you don't have to try and run away to somewhere else, because there's nowhere to run away to. And as scary as that is, it's also a kind of peace and grace, because you may as well stay present and just watch what's going on and not kind of run as a headless chicken. So, this doesn't feel like the last bear markets. Twitter has not died. We're all still here. We're still building Illuvium. We're still talking about NFTs. That, to me, is extremely exciting. And if you're okay that you've got your basic food and stuff covered, use this time to educate, make friends, build out your network, because as things start to roll out the next stage, you're going to be very well placed to take advantage.
Yep. Awesome.
Yeah, I think definitely. So just thanks everyone for watching. Just a quick reminder that Illuvium has sponsored this episode of Augment, which is really awesome. So a big thanks to them. We definitely love Illuvium. I know a lot of our viewers love Illuvium too. Currently, we're pending Illuvatars and the Illuvium Zero game coming out. Current news is probably the big thing is 4 to 8 weeks for Illuvium Zero to potentially come out. I'm looking at mid-July, right? And it's really not that far away. These past few months have already gone by so quickly. I even forgot Last Epoch existed, it's crazy. So definitely stay tuned with all their stuff. Illuvium's going to be popping stuff every month, right? So it's crazy.
Land sale is done, but again, that doesn't mean you can't get involved. If you do want to get involved in land, you've got the Illuvium Immutable X Marketplace and the Illuvidex. So check those out. I've got videos on it. Scoriox has videos on it. So definitely get involved there if that is something that you'd like to do. But again, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. Thank you again to Dylan for coming on. We really, really appreciate it. We had to change the time zone, and he's been super accommodating. So thank you. For everyone, check out FatCats. We'll put the link down below for the Discord.
I think I did.
For the website.
Oh, for the website? All right, I'll put
Discord is locked. If they want to get into the Discord, if they could send us a message on Twitter, that would be great. Or if they know anyone who is a FatCat holder, aka yourself, you can create invites. So everyone who is a FatCat holder can always kind of bring their friends into the club. That's how we wanted to structure it.
All right, cool. Well, all right, cool. So I'll put the website down below. Check that out. Subscribe to Scoriox. This is already his channel. We'll be swapping between his and mine. Subscribe to Scoriox, like the video, subscribe to me, like my videos, all of them, every single one, and check out the Augment Clips channel, because like I said, we are giving away $1,000 worth of prizes there. Be sure to check that out. Community event coming up on the 25th of June. I'm pretty sure that date's been solidified. We're just fine-tuning a couple of things, and we'll put that out in a couple of days. But thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate all of you guys, and we are out. Peace.
See ya.